Ye are the stars of the heaven of understanding, the breeze which stirreth at the break of each day, the soft flowing waters upon which must depend the very life of all men, the letters inscribed upon his sacred scroll. Ye are the stars of the heaven of understanding, the breeze which stirreth at the break of each day, the soft flowing waters upon which must depend the very life of all men, the letters inscribed upon his sacred scroll, the letters inscribed upon his sacred scroll, the letters inscribed upon his sacred scroll. So the commentary for this fourth one, again, I want to say thank you to Jessica Gaines for not only for her wonderful voice and who she is in the world, but for sharing her singing various Baha'i scripture and other guidance online, and that's what inspired me to do this. Sort of like an answer video or something like that. So this one, Ye are the stars of the heaven of understanding. I can't remember at the moment whether these are the words of Baha'u'llah or Abdul-Baha. And so when I will take a minute and look that up. So that'll be in the notes down below. Anyhow, years ago, like 30 or more years ago, there was a wonderful, well, at the time it was a cassette or a record album, came out by Gordy Munro, who is from Canada. And the quote, I don't know if he actually wrote the melody. I suspect Jack Lenz did, but I'm not clear on all that. But it's very well known. It's been recorded a number of times by many wonderful Baha'i musicians. Ye are the stars of the heaven of understanding, the breeze which stirreth at the break of each day, the soft flowing waters upon which must depend the very life of all men, the letters inscribed upon his sacred scroll. And it goes on, and I encourage you to look it up. You can type it into a search box and find it. And this is where my understanding of it is God is speaking to his faithful people and talking about what our station is and how we should see ourselves. And that should also empower us to, go and do the things that he wants us to do. Participation in the spiritual transformation of humankind. It's pretty weighty, but God's telling us who we are. And so hopefully that will encourage us to do all the things that need to be done, and also to share with other human beings who may not know how wonderful they are in God's eyes. So the other thing that motivated this little ditty, again, this is one that came to me in the shower. Almost all of the tunes I've ever come up with or have been given to me from the next world are in the shower. But one of the things that happens with Western people who grow up with Western music being sort of the soundtrack of their lives, when they write things and they're aiming for something spiritual, a lot of times it's very slow, and it can be a lot of times very high and ethereal, all that stuff. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love so much of that. However, there is a great deal of it around, and there is, tradition of thousands. I'm not thinking it's not that many thousands, but hundreds, centuries of tradition of music written especially for the Christian churches by so many of the great ones, is this slow, ethereal, these types of things, which for many of us in the West, this signifies this is spiritual music. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not the only kind of music that's spiritual music. And another thing that happens with many Western Baha'is who set the writings to music or write on Baha'i themes is they're influenced by Persian music or Middle Eastern music, which uses an entirely different scale than the chromatic scale or the octaves that we're used to. And so often what the friends do is they put it in a minor key, which also, if you grew up in the Western musical tradition, sounds mournful. The word I want to say is mournful. And so it has led to the creation of what I call very flippantly the Baha'i dirges. When I first heard a lot of these things when I was younger, they were really grand because they were a change in many ways from the sort of folky kinds of things that had happened, especially in the late 60s and the early 70s and stuff. And so the Ye Are the Stars by Gordy Monroe is sort of in that same vein of the minor key, and you can seek it out and everything. But I was hoping to introduce something that is more, to me, that feels more joyful and has more movement. So that was a really, really wordy way of saying, I wanted something more upbeat and happier sounding, because I am really excited, and I have been my whole life, about being a Baha'i. I don't think I'm very good at it, but I really, really am very grateful to have found this path to God. And so I hope if you are unfamiliar with the Baha'i faith that you'll check it out. There's, I believe, almost all the writings that have been translated into English are freely available on the web. And if you're in North America, you can go to Baha'i.us and go to, that's the U.S., the official, but there's so many wonderful sites out there. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learn it and share it with your communities, regardless of how much skill you may have, because music is a ladder for the soul. And first you got to do it, right? So I hope you enjoy this. Aloha. God is most glorious.